Okay, so this is just a little quick video guide to answering any data question or data skills. There's usually one or two in every SAC, and it's definitely the same kind of proportion in the exam too. So there'll be at least maybe 3 or 4 data questions in the exam, maybe more. And these are really great questions because you don't need to know anything to answer them right. So they're kind of, I call them like free points on the exam. You need to always have a ruler with you in every second exam because you need to rule across and get specific numbers. And you have to read the question very carefully because they can try to trick you a little bit as well. Okay, so a couple of basic things to start with is make sure you always have a ruler so you can get these really specific numbers. So if you used a ruler here, it says compared deaths of males compared to females over time. And I guess you'd start with a general sentence that both of these are declining, but it's always been higher for males than it is females. So just something really general like that. You could say, for example, in 1907, the death rate for males was this, okay, and get a really specific number. So don't say approximately, say, let me have a look, it's about halfway, isn't it? So it's like 2,225. Or I could even be more specific and say like 24, just so it sounds legit. And then get a ruler here and rule across and get a specific number here. So you're comparing 2012 to 1907. And so you'd be saying compared to 780, it's making these up, that's probably about right there, deaths per 100,000. So make sure you use the unit. So yeah, this is the big one that people don't do properly, is using a ruler to get that specific number that you can compare, and using the unit of measurement, which in this case is deaths per 100,000. So in this one it says that in 2012 the deaths were 780 deaths per 100,000 population. Okay. A trend is something they use quite a lot. So here's the word trend. It means a change or movement. It's a pretty simple concept, but people do still make mistakes. If you have a look at these, the trend is upwards. Okay, it's life expectancy at birth. The trend in life expectancy for both males and females is increasing. Now, it doesn't say that you need to use data in your response, but I think it's good practice to do it anyway, to get your ruler out and say, for example, males in 1892 was this number, life expectancy at birth in years, compared to in 2012, it was this number, and get your ruler. Because I think it's kind of like when you're learning to drive and you're on a street and you're all alone and you still indicate. It's just good practice to do it, and it also means that when you do need to do it, you won't forget to do it. So I really think it's a good idea to use data in all of your answers, as long as you're not taking too long doing it, because you don't want to lose, you don't want to be able to get to the end of your exam and you haven't finished. So a trend is just a change or a movement. This is a really fair example of the kind of things that they show you. And this is the prevalence, so the total number of common mental disorders in the Australian population between 1997, 1998 and 2007. And it's got the blue is 97 and the orange is 2007. So you do need to spend some time reading this. The unit is in percent, okay? And the age group is there. So describe a trend in the data. The clearest trend you can see going down here is that as you get older, as people get older, then the prevalence of common mental disorders goes down, okay? And then you could say, for example, at 16 to 18 to 24, in 1997, it was this number compared to 65 plus in 1997, which was this number percent. Okay, so yeah, that is just a pretty straightforward example. And this is just a slide to point out to you that some of their graphs are confusing and purposefully confusing. This has got 2 different units here, which seems nasty. It's also got different lines and different coloured lines. So use TAFMA and use your reading time in the exam to look at, like, what are they really asking. In this case, they're looking for the trend for new cancer cases number. So they're looking at this blue line compared to cancer deaths number for females. Okay, and so you've got, let me see, your females number here, and you've got your number per 100,000 females here. Let me have a look. I'm just reading. Okay, so you're comparing the new cases, so the dark blue line, to the deaths in number for females, which is this light blue line. Okay, so these other 2 dotted lines are not necessary. Okay, so you're not looking at the rate. All right, so outline the trend. So look, both of these lines are increasing. Okay, so the trend from 2011 to 2020 is an increasing number. And then if you're using specific numbers, you would get for example, this number in 2011 compared to this number, and make sure you're using the same side to get units that are the same in 2020. Okay, so there's a lot of information here, and a lot of it is to distract you. So this is just a shout out to, sometimes there's distracting, confusing ones on there. Lately they've been putting ones that look kind of like they should be tricky, but they're not. Sometimes it's like more obvious and we overthink it, and yeah, that can be a problem as well. And so tables are all really about selecting the right data. I think these are very common questions, and I think they're actually quite clever. So this question, and it's not written here for some reason, but the question is basically about comparing that. Oh yeah, it is. It's comparing health status. And so this is not health status information, okay? This is not health status information. Health status is about life expectancy, it's about mortality and morbidity. They're the health status indicators. So it kind of is asking you, can you analyze data? But it's also asking you, do you know what the health status indicators are? And as always, we choose the easiest one to compare. Okay, we look at life expectancy when we talk about health status if we can. And then basically the question was asking, you know, what's the health status indicator in Australia compared to Chad? And you would say in Australia, life expectancy at birth in 2013 was 82.5 compared to Chad, which was 51.2. That's all you have to do. So sometimes these questions are also saying, you know, do you know what the health status indicators are? And that's basically everything. There are 2 data skills booklets on OneNote under exam prep if you would like some further information. And yeah, if you're losing any points at all on SACS for data, then there's a problem, because you shouldn't be losing anything. They're ones that you can get through common sense and using specific numbers. That is the number one thing that people forget to do. If you have a ruler, and you always will, and you have a data question, you need to use your ruler and get a number. That should be the reminder for you. And I dedicate this PowerPoint video to Gifty. So I'm so sorry I couldn't sit down with you and talk about data in class more often. And you're awesome for getting me to make this video. So thanks. Okay, bye guys.